Hello and welcome to this OC Children's Screening Registry training. In this video, we will be talking about how to enter the three variations of the Pearls tools results. So we will look at the Child 0 to 11 Parent Caregiver Report, the Teen 12 and Up Parent Caregiver Report, and the Teen 12 and Up Self-Report. We will also learn how to make referrals to help me grow within the registry, and then how to track referrals that you may have made to other community-based organizations or programs after you've entered referrals results. So we'll go ahead and start by adding screening results, specifically the pearls. On a child's home page, there's a few different sections. We went over these in one of the other initial training videos. There is the child screening section that you see here with the list of screenings. This may or may not have screenings in there already. However, the first step and the thing you'll want to do to go ahead and enter new screening results is click on that purple button that says Add New Screening Result. So you'll want to click there. You'll then be taken to a page where you can select from a drop-down the screening tool that you'd like to enter at this time. No matter what tools your organization or program does, you will see all of these options. So just make sure you're careful in selecting the right one. You can see here that the Pearls tools are the last three choices in this dropdown, and they're broken up into the three variations that I mentioned earlier. So you'll select the tool that you'd like to use, and then you'll be prompted to enter the results. So I'm going to first talk generally about a Pediatric ACEs screening and related life events screener, our Pearls tool entry, because the three different tools are very similar in what sections are you're prompted to indicate for a score. So like a part one, the risk being populated, whether clinical assessment comes up, and then a part two score. So I'll talk very generally in this slide, and then I'll take you through a couple of examples using the three different tools as examples to mix it up throughout, so we can talk about a couple of different scenarios. But in general, for a Pearls tool, you'll start by indicating the part one score. So you'll click here and be able to choose from a drop-down of 0 to 10, the score range that's indicated by the Pearls tool. And then the risk we'll talk about in a couple of the examples moving forward and how that may auto-populate or how you may need to answer a couple of extra questions. But then for part two, you will also choose from a drop-down. The main difference here is that for a child 0 to 11 parent caregiver report, the drop-down will be from 0 to 7. But then for the teen Pearls variations, the drop-down instead will be from 0 to 9. So that will make sense to you now that you've been trained on the Pearls tool. So at the bottom of every screening tool entry, so Pearls included, there's the option again to make referrals to help me grow or track other referrals that you've made. So we'll go through that in more detail towards the end of the video, but just know that's always going to sit there at the bottom of a Pearls entry. And please make sure that you save. So at the bottom right, you'll see a save button. You want to make sure and click that once you've completed your entry. So this first example I'm going to take you through is a Pearls low risk entry. So for the sake of example, here I'm going to choose the Pearls Child 0 to 11 Parent Caregiver Report from the dropdown, and then go ahead and enter the date that the screening was completed. The registry will do a check to make sure that the date of screening, the tool you chose, and the child's date of birth are accurate. So the system will make sure that this is the correct tool for the child based on their age range and the date that you did the screening. If there is a mismatch there, you will see a red asterisk pop up next to the date of screening, and when you try to save, it will prompt you to correct that. But if all is good, then you'll be able to go ahead and proceed and save. So in this example, for part one, the child's score is 0. So again, I'm showing you a low risk entry, and that will happen when a child's score for part one is 0. So what happens after you choose that is the risk will automatically populate here. It will read that the risk is low risk, and it'll just specify that that means the score equals 0. So that logic has been built in to auto-populate once you choose 0. You will go ahead and answer part 2, and since this is a child 0 to 11, the dropdown is the range from 0 to 7. I'd like to point out that In this example, and the example we'll see next, so this example being a low risk score of 0, and then the next example will be a high risk score of 4 or more for part 1. These responses don't elicit the question, was clinical assessment conducted? So you'll be done after these 2 clicks, but I'll take you through after the next example what it will look like when that question does pop up. So just know for a low result or a high risk, that won't happen. And then again, you can refer towards the bottom. So this example, again, just for the sake of mixing it up, I've chosen the screening tool to be Pearl's Teen 12 and Up Parent Caregiver Report, and I went ahead and entered the date of screening. In this example, the part 1 score is a 4, and because that is a score of 4 or more, the risk will populate automatically as a high risk score. So this would happen if I chose anything from 4 to 10. And then you can go ahead and respond to the part 2 score, which again, because this is a teen tool, the range is now 0 to 9. And again, this example, as well as the previous one, will not elicit the was clinical assessment conducted question. We'll go ahead and look at that next. And again, go ahead and make those referrals. So this is an example of a score of 1 to 3 for part 1. So this example is a Pearl's Teen 12 and Up self-report. Again, I want to point out that I've been mixing up which screening tool I'm using to show you these examples, but this functions the same way regardless of which of the 3 tools you're using for Pearls. The only thing that changes is the drop down for part 2, but this that I'm about to show you is true not just of this Teen 12 and Up self-report, but of the other 2 Pearls tools as well. So we're going to go ahead and indicate the score. In this example, the child scored 2 for part 1. So again, because that's between 1 and 3, you will be prompted to answer, was clinical assessment conducted? And you'll see with that red asterisk that it is now a required question. So you'll be prompted to go ahead and answer that by choosing one of these 2 radio dials, yes or no. We're going to look at an example first where a clinical assessment was not conducted. So you'll see that once a no is chosen, the risk populates to read that the clinical assessment is unknown. And then you'll go ahead and respond to part 2. If a clinical assessment was not completed, of course, go ahead and select no, even if you're planning to do it later, because we want to make sure that you're accurate with the result that you're entering. So that if you do a clinical assessment later, you can return to this screening and you can change the no to a yes, and then go ahead and enter the clinical assessment results. You'll be able to do this by logging back in, going to the child's home page, and then hitting view to the right of the entry that you made. You'll see this exact page pop up again, and then you can go ahead and edit the no to a yes if you need to. The reason we're saying and asking you to please put no, even if you plan to do it, is because once you put yes, you'll be required to put what the result was, and we don't want placeholder answers there when you haven't truly done a clinical assessment. We want to keep the information as accurate as possible, especially if you maybe forget to come back in and enter the true clinical assessment result. We want to try to avoid that. So no is the correct answer if a clinical assessment was not conducted and is not being planned to be conducted, but also if it hasn't been done yet, because you can always come back in and change it. So in this example, we'll say no and then still answer for part 2, make referrals if needed, and then save. So this example, same, a score of 1 to 3. So we're keeping the example of the part 1 score being 2. But instead, a clinical assessment was conducted, so we're answering yes to that question. You'll notice that another question pops up that prompts you to fill in the clinical assessment results, which with that red asterisk again is now a required question. So we'll put yes, and then you'll have the 2 options of whether the clinical assessment result puts the child at intermediate risk or at high risk. So depending on which one you choose, this unknown here from before will change to either read intermediate risk or high risk. So this unknown will be there if the response was no. But once you choose intermediate or you choose high, that unknown that's underlined will change to read intermediate or high. And then part 2, again, choose from that drop down. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what it would mean to make a referral to help me grow within the registry, how you will be able to view the status of the referral you've made and also view outcomes, and then how you can track other referrals you may have made to other organizations or programs, now that you know how to enter the Pearls tool result. Okay, so in this example, we've entered a Pearls child 0 to 11 with a risk score. You'll see that a 5 is there for part 1. So we're going to go ahead and refer to help me grow. So we've checked off this box. It's as simple as clicking it, and then go ahead and click save on the bottom right. This is an automated referral to help me grow. So the registry truly made it that easy for you. This means that because our systems are linked, so our Help Me Grow's data tracking system and the OC Children's Screening Registry are linked bilaterally. This click of a button and then saving this entry will automatically send the referral to Help Me Grow, where we can then process it and contact the family to give information. This means it eliminates the step for your program or practice to have to give the parent our number, ask them to call us, or visit our website to fill in information on their behalf, or direct the family to visit our website to fill in their information. With this click of a button and hitting save, the information gets sent to us and we can call the family. So you can be assured that the families you referred will be called. Let me show you now what it will look like once you do that. So when you first click the button and save your tool entry, you'll notice a couple of different things will pop up in the status of the referral and then outcomes and whether referral is still open or closed with us. These examples, they're not all Pearls centric because again, you can refer and make referrals on any tool in the registry. So this page just happens to be a general example. And the example here is with an ASQ3, but this is also true of Pearls referrals that you may make, or referrals to help me grow that you make based on a tool, Pearls tool. So what you'll see first is that the status of the referral is processing. This means it's sitting in kind of a holding bucket or a holding tank in our data tracking system. We check that system daily and then sometimes multiple times a day, and we need to process and bring over the referral that you've given us. So it may just sit in that holding tank for a little bit and you'll see that it's processing. These are other things that will change as we work with the family. You'll see on the top part in blue, the referral category is something that will populate. That's the format of what you'll see. So you'll see a referral category, a concern that we're addressing, and then ultimately an outcome. And then to the right, you'll see a reason that our referral was closed. Right now, no referrals have been provided yet, and the closed reason is to be determined, right? Because this referral is still processing. Once we've had eyes on the referral you've sent us and we've accepted it into our system, you will see accepted, but you may still see that referrals haven't been provided yet. The reason for this is because we make multiple attempts in multiple ways. If provided with the phone number and email, we'll use both multiple times to try to contact the families that you've referred to us so that we can connect with them, talk a little bit more, and then give them referrals or information and resources. So you may see that we've accepted it, but we haven't given referrals yet. You should take this to mean that we are making our attempts to reach the family. And then hopefully after we do, again, the status remains accepted, but you'll now see that we've given referrals. So in this example, we referred the family to Regional Center for the child based on a gross motor concern. So again, this isn't a Pearls-centric example, but an example of what you will see. But the only difference would probably be a different referral addressing a different concern if it's Pearls, right? So in this example, we've given Regional Center for a gross motor concern, but you'll notice that the outcome is to be determined. And that's because we give the family some time on whether we directly referred the family to a certain organization or we've provided the family with a phone number so that they can call and self-refer. We give them about a week and a half, maybe sometimes 2 weeks to make that connection. So you should interpret this to mean that we've given the family resources and now we're waiting to follow up with them to make sure that they were connected. Next, we'll see what we ideally hope to see all the time, which is a fulfilled outcome of connected. So you'll see the referral category and the concern there also, and then the outcome as connected. And then the reason that we've closed this referral is because the caregiver provided us with outcome information. They told us they're connected, they had their appointment, they've been found eligible, whatever the case may be, and they are connected. So this may be this ideally is a closed loop on this case. The bottom example is to show you a couple different ways that this may look instead. So here in this top example, it says no referrals provided at this time, but the closed reason doesn't say to be determined anymore. It says unable to reach after multiple attempts. So with this example here in this second section, that the top one would indicate to you is that we were never able to give the family resources because we were never able to reach them, unfortunately. This would be good for you to know, and that's why it's great it populates in the registry, because if you look back on this child's homepage, you'll be able to see this and know that Help Me Grow was not able to reach the family after multiple attempts, so we weren't able to give resources. And then hopefully you can reconnect with the family and let them know why you'd referred and that they can call us if they still want information, and encourage them to do so, and you'll be able to see that we couldn't reach them. Another example is that one there at the bottom where our resources we give families and what we're addressing with them might be a little bit more involved. So here you see multiple different referral categories, a couple different types of concerns, and a few variations on the outcomes. In this particular example, you can see that we reached the caregiver and then we lost them to follow-up. So that may explain why some of these outcomes are not completely fulfilled. So some are not connected. One is pending the service because we weren't able to follow up with the family through to them being connected because we lost contact with them. Or the last information we've had is that they weren't connected and we weren't able to learn differently because we lost contact with them. You may also see that we've maybe provided them with some information and education, but family wasn't interested in resources at this time. So you may also see that as an option. If you're having trouble interpreting what any of this means, please feel free to reach out to the contact information that will be provided to you at the end. But it is our hope that these outcomes and reasons we've closed referrals that you've sent to us are hopefully as self-explanatory as can be. So now we will lastly talk about how to indicate that you've made referrals to other organizations or programs if your practice does your own care coordination or makes additional referrals at the time of your visit or screening with the family, then you can also track that in the registry. So again, at the bottom of a entry, you'll see a section that also reads referral to other organization program. You can choose as many as apply here in this section, all of them, 1, 2 of them. You can also leave it blank, right, if you didn't make any referrals. However, please choose as many as are applicable. This is a great way to utilize the registry as another communication platform. So another user that has access to this child's file can see that they were referred on this day based on this result, so that they can also help the family coordinate that in case they're not connected at the time that they're seeing them. So they can see the history of that information that was given to the family. I'd like to point out that this can be done in conjunction with a referral to Help Me Grow. It's not an either or. So although neither of these two sections are required, you can also use both. So if you've referred to Help Me Grow, but you've also given the family referrals, please feel free to click all that is applicable. The main difference is that, like we mentioned earlier, if you make a referral to Help Me Grow, that is an automated referral. It does get sent to us this way. I want to make sure to emphasize that the bottom section referring to other organizations is not automated. So you will have to do whatever is in your practice or protocol to connect the family to that. It won't be automated to us. So this bottom section is truly indicating like you gave a referral to a new mental health service. You referred to the school district or wherever it may be. I would like to point out as well that the referred by registry user to new mental health service is something we added because of the addition of the PEARLS tools specifically. It can be used and it will appear with entries for other tools as well. However, that was a new addition here with our understanding that these types of referrals may be more appropriate now with a pearls tool. And we wanted to make sure that you have a spot to capture if you have referred the family or the child, I should say, to a new mental health service. And this would be, again, based on this tool entry that you are making these referrals. So once you've chosen whatever you need, you can go ahead and save. So although it is not required to refer to Help Me Grow if you're using the registry, I would just like to point out a benefit. I went through it with showing you the outcomes and that you can view, what's happened with the family. But I want to stress that just one more time here, while also emphasizing again, it's not a requirement to refer to Help Me Grow. You can leave that section blank and go ahead and track what you've done. That is still an immense value. However, if you do refer to Help Me Grow, you can see there on the top. In this particular example, again, this isn't Pearls centric, but you can see that the child was referred to the school district based on a communication concern. They were connected. Caregiver gave us that information. The bottom is an example of you having tracked that you referred to the school district on your own, maybe another community-based organization. This is, again, great because it sits there for other viewers to see and for you to see as well. However, there won't ever be outcome information populated. And that is all for this video. Thank you so much for your time and attention. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact the information on the screen.